What do you do when your parents take your college fund, your wrestling career, and 2 pieces of your liver, and still come back asking for more?
My mother told me I was born to save my sister. She said it in a hospital hallway when I was 14 years old, holding both my hands, while my sister was dying in the room behind her. My name is Gabriel.
I am 21 years old, and I have the scars to prove every word of this. When I was 14, my sister Sloane mixed vodka with painkillers at a party.
Her liver failed within 48 hours.
Skin yellow. Eyes yellow.
Throwing up blood on the bathroom tile.
My parents drove 90 miles an hour to the hospital, and I sat in the waiting room until my mother pulled me into the hallway. Gabriel, your sister needs part of your liver. You are the only match. I said I was scared. I said I did not want surgery. She tightened her grip. Your sister is dying. Do you understand that? She is dying and you can save her. I asked what would happen to wrestling.
I had the state tournament the following month.
College scouts. A real shot at recruitment. My father looked at me with tired eyes.
The doctor said 6 weeks recovery. You might miss this year, but there is always next year.
1 surgery and this is all over.
We will never ask you to do anything like this again. You promise?
Just this once, son. I promise. My mother put her hand on my back and said, "You were sent to us to save this family. That is why we named you what we did." I did not feel like a guardian angel. I felt like a 14-year-old boy who was terrified. But Sloane was my sister. She taught me to ride a bike. She told me I would wrestle in the Olympics someday. Okay, I said. I will do it. Recovery took 8 weeks, not 6. The incision got infected. I spent 4 extra days on IV antibiotics while my parents split their time between my room and Sloane's. 10 minutes with me, hours with her.
Her friends brought balloons and a stuffed bear too big for the doorway. My wrestling team sent 1 card.
Get well soon. See you on the mat. The state tournament happened while I was still in my hospital bed. I watched it on my phone with the volume low. My teammate Cole won my weight class. I watched the scouts in the stands writing things down. That was supposed to be my headline. When I finally got cleared to train again 3 months later, something was wrong. Slower off the whistle. Just a beat, but in wrestling, a beat is the whole match. My core was gone. I gassed out in rounds that used to be nothing. By the next season, the scouts had moved on. Coach stopped talking about college. He stopped talking about the Olympics. Meanwhile, Sloane was back at parties within 4 months.
I found out she was drinking again when she stumbled in at 2 in the morning, smelling like tequila, and rolled her eyes when I reminded her what the doctor had said. So what if I do?
She said, livers regenerate. That is the whole point, she smiled. Not a nice smile. It means if I mess up again, Mom and Dad will just make you fix it. That is literally your job, Gabriel. You are the spare parts.
You are the backup plan. That is why they had you. I told my parents the next morning.
My mother sighed like I was exhausting her. She is allowed to blow off some steam. A few weeks later, they sat me down. My father cleared his throat. We need to talk about your college fund. My grandparents had been adding to it since the day I was born.
14 years of birthdays and Christmases. We used it to cover Sloane's medical bills. The room tilted. What about Sloane's fund?
Silence. Neither of them looked at me. Sloane's fund is for Sloane. She is going to need it. My wrestling career was gone.
My college fund was gone.
My sister was drinking again. And my parents thought I was being dramatic. I was 15 years old and I understood the most important thing about my family.
I did not exist as a person.
I existed as a resource. And resources do not get to have feelings. 3 years later, my parents showed up at my school. I knew before they finished the sentence, Sloane's liver was failing again. We need you to do it again. No. They stared at me like I had spoken a foreign language. You promised me it. Would only happen once. Circumstances changed. Her life is at stake because of choices she made. Because every time I warned you, you told me to stop being jealous. My mother stepped close. If Sloane dies because you refuse, you will never be welcome in this family again. You will be dead to us. Then Sloane walked through the door. Gray, gaunt, barely able to stand. Real tears, not the practiced kind. Just a 20-year-old girl who had finally realized she was not invincible. I am so sorry, she said. For everything. For calling you spare parts. If you do this again, I swear I will be different. I will never drink again. I looked at the yellow creeping into her eyes.
I felt something crack. If I do this and you start drinking again, I am done. Forever. Do you understand?
She nodded. She promised. 2 weeks later, I was back on the operating table. This time there were complications. Bleeding. 3 days in the ICU. The surgeon waited until my parents left the room, then pulled his chair to my bedside. Your liver regenerated after the first donation, but not perfectly. The tissue is compromised. A third donation would be extremely dangerous and potentially fatal. Do not let anyone pressure you into another surgery. Your life would be at serious risk. Can you write that down for me? He came back with a folder. His written statement? My full medical records. Documentation of every complication. I had it laminated.
I bought a fireproof safe with my own money and locked it inside. When my parents came back from the cafeteria, I told them what the doctor said. My mother patted my hand.
You are so brave, Gabriel.
Now get some rest. They did not hear a single word. Sloan threw a party the week after I was discharged. My parents said she did not drink.
They said I was paranoid. I went to my room and started keeping records. Dates, times, photos, screenshots. 4 years of evidence backed up in 3 different places, because I knew they would come for me again. And when they did, I was going to be ready. I got into college on a partial scholarship and worked 2 jobs to cover the rest. I majored in accounting because financial independence felt like survival. I came home twice a year and kept the calls short, and I watched Sloan from a distance, documenting every broken promise. Then the invitation came. Her 24th birthday. The whole extended family. My grandparents, who did not know about the second surgery. My Aunt Diane, a surgeon who had been overseas for 5 years. And Elliot, Sloan's boyfriend of 6 months, the one my mother said was the one.
The man who thought he was dating a woman who had turned her life around. I called Aunt Diane 2 weeks before the party. I told her everything.
The second surgery, the ICU, the doctor's warning.
4 years of photos. Why are you telling me this now? Because I am done being the family secret.
I need a surgeon in the room who can confirm what I am saying is medically accurate. I will be there, she said. But Gabriel, this is your story. You have to be the one to tell it, I know, I said.
I have been waiting 7 years. The party was on a Saturday in late April. My father clinked his glass and the room went quiet. If I could have everyone's attention.
I would like to make a toast to the woman of the hour. My daughter. My miracle. He talked about her health scare 7 years ago. About modern medicine. About how the whole family had rallied around her. We almost lost her, he said, voice cracking with rehearsed emotion.
But look at her now, I stepped forward. I have something to add. Every head turned.
My father's smile froze. Dad forgot to mention something. Sloan did not pull through because of modern medicine. She pulled through because of me. I looked around the room. My grandparents. My aunts and uncles. Elliot, who was staring at me with wide eyes. I donated part of my liver when I was 14. I did it again when I was 17. 2 surgeries, 2 pieces of my body. Murmurs rippled through the room. Sloan stepped forward, voice steady, charm still intact. Let's not blow this out of proportion. The second surgery was minor. A small complication. My brother has always been a little dramatic. A few relatives laughed nervously, wanting to believe her. Show them, I said. I lifted my shirt. 2 parallel scars across my abdomen. The room went silent. Does that look minor? My grandmother gasped. Elliot went pale. I walked to my grandmother and handed her my phone. The ICU photo. Tubes in both arms. Monitors everywhere. Scroll through. There is more, she scrolled. Her face went white. She passed the phone to my grandfather. He looked at it, then looked at my parents with an expression I had never seen on his face before. Disgust. You told us it was 1 surgery, he said. You told us he was fine. I reached into my jacket and pulled out the laminated document. This is the surgeon's written warning from after the second donation. It says a 3rd surgery would be potentially fatal. I have it laminated because I knew this day would come. I walked to my parents and held it in front of their faces. You read this letter. You knew. And last month, when Sloan's liver started failing again, you started calling me, talking about how family means sacrifice. You were laying the groundwork to ask me to die so Sloan could keep drinking. I turned to Elliot. She told you 1 surgery, didn't she? That she changed everything after? He nodded slowly. I pulled up my phone. Sloan at a bar 3 weeks ago. Sloan doing shots last month. Valentine's Day. Barely able to stand. 4 years of photos. Dates, times, locations. I handed him the phone. His hands were shaking. Sloan. His voice was barely above a whisper. Tell me he's lying. They're out of context, she said. Her voice had lost its charm. Special occasions. Social drinking. Everyone does it. You told me you didn't drink at all. I didn't think it mattered. Then why didn't you stop? She opened her mouth. Closed it. Elliot was quiet for a long moment. Then he asked the only question that mattered. Were you ever going to tell me the truth? I wanted you to love me first, she said. Before all this got in the way. This is who you are, Sloan. This is exactly who you are. He set his watch on the table next to the cake. The one she had given him for Christmas. I'm done. He looked at me. I'm sorry for what you've been through. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. Then he walked out. My grandmother stood up. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was not. You took his college fund. My mother started to speak. I set up both accounts, my grandmother said. I know exactly what was in them. You could have split it. You could have asked us for help. Instead, you emptied your son and protected your daughter. She walked to me and put both hands on my face. I am so sorry, Gabriel. I did not see what was happening. She turned to my parents. You will never see another penny from me. The money I was going to leave you goes to Gabriel. All of it." Sloane looked around the room wildly. Her friends were edging toward the door. Her cousins would not meet her eyes. Even my parents stood frozen. "Mom, Dad, tell them I am not as bad as he is making me sound." My mother looked at her. Then at me, then at the floor. She said nothing. "You are really going to let him do this?"
Dad's mouth opened and closed.
Nothing came out. She stood there waiting for someone to save her the way they always had. Waiting for someone to sacrifice something so she would not have to face a consequence. No one moved. I walked to the door. Diane followed. "Gabriel, wait." Sloane's voice cracked. "What if my liver fails again? What if I need? Then you will wait on the transplant list like everyone else." I stopped at the door and looked back at her. "You will wait months or years. You will learn what it feels like to be powerless, to be dependent on someone else's mercy, to watch your body fail while someone else decides whether you are worth saving." I looked at my parents, and you will learn what it feels like to watch your child suffer and have no one left to sacrifice. I walked out. Sloane's liver failed 3 months later. She is still on the transplant list. Elliot never came back. My grandparents cut off my parents completely. I live near Aunt Diane now. I have not seen the rest of my family since that night. My mother named me Gabriel because she believed I was sent to save her family. She was not entirely wrong. I just did not save the person she meant. That is the whole story. That is exactly as complicated and exactly as simple as it is.